Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. Normally, I'm the 80s mixtaper, but today, for this stream of consciousness, I'm just a guy who's still buzzing from Rewind South 2025. Still got Temptation stuck in my head, still seeing neon leg warmers and inflatable beach balls hit me in the head every time I close my eyes. I'm recording this straight from the heart, no real script, just me pouring out the joy, the sadness, the glitter, and the gut punch of what it means to stand in a field in Henley-on-Thames, surrounded by thousands of people chasing the 80s like it's a dream we can still catch. Let's talk about this weird, beautiful thing we call Rewind. It's Sunday at Temple Island Meadows, and it's like the universe has hit pause on 2025 and dials it back to 1985. The sun is blazing. It is so hot. The air smells like sunscreen and happiness, and everywhere I look, it's a riot of colour. There's a woman in her 50s rocking a Madonna-inspired lace skirt, fingerless gloves, and a bow bigger than her head. There's a guy in a full-on Top Gun flight suit. In fact, there are quite a few of those, aviators and all, high-fiving a dude dressed as George Michael in the Wake Me Up video. Axl Rose, Slash, a woman dressed as Freddie Mercury, dressed as a woman, replete with Hoover for the I Want to Break Free video. The most perfect costumes you can imagine, and on and on. Kids are running around with glow sticks, teenagers are snapping selfies in front of the Rewind signage, and I'm just standing there lapping it up, grinning like an idiot because this is Rewind South. This is the place where you can wear a mullet wig unironically, where you can dance like nobody's watching, where you can pretend just for a weekend that you're 17 again, blasting Hungry Like the Wolf in your bedroom. The crowd's a mix, you know. You've got your diehards, the ones who were there in the 80s, buying 12-inch singles and taping songs off the radios. They're in their 40s, 50s, 60s, maybe even 70s. Greying hair peeking out from under their neon headbands. But they've got this fire in their eyes, this hunger to relive the music that shaped them. Then there's the families, parents dragging their kids along, pointing at the stage like, this is what real music sounds like. And yet, there's some younger folks too, 20-somethings who've discovered the 80s through Stranger Things or TikTok, rocking retro shirts with Relax or Choose Life on them, and vibing with the aesthetic. It's a community, a tribe, all of us bound by these songs, this era, this feeling. I'm weaving through the crowd and I'm thinking, this is magic, this is home. The lineup, it's a love letter to my youth. Roachford kicks things off, and when he launches into Cuddly Toy, the whole field singing hands in the air, strangers singing to each other like we've known each other forever. The selector comes on next, and I'm not kidding, I see this guy in his 60s skanking like he's 19, tie loose, sweat pouring, moving to On My Radio like he's back in a sweaty ska club in 79. Chesney Hawkes. Chesney bloody Hawkes. God, he still looks good. I almost hate him. And he's in his new video, he's naked and there's no slack buttocks to be found, I can tell you. Mine look like they were carved from lard and then the round bit cut off, but not old Chesney. He's still got that boyish grin, still milking the one and only for all it's worth, and the crowd's eating it up, screaming every word. Haircut 100's jungly pop feels like a warm hug. Fantastic Day making me want to spin in circles. T'Pau with Carol Decker's immaculate voice soaring on China in Your Hand hits me right in the chest, conjuring memories of school discos, awkward slow dances, mixtapes I made for crushes who never knew. Tempole Tudor's punky energy shakes things up all raw and chaotic, while Heaven 17's Temptation is pure 80s excess. Synths, swagger that have the whole field dancing like we're in a neon-lit nightclub. Glenn Gregory has never sounded better. Then there's Matt Goss, former Bros heartthrob, all Vegas polished now, strutting out like he's headlining the strip. And the Brossettes, grown women who were teens and 88s, are losing their minds, screaming like they're 15 again. Midyear and his performance of Vienna and Dancing with Tears in My Eyes is, well, it's like a sacred experience, to be honest. His voice weathered but powerful, like he's carrying 40 years of stories in every note, which, of course, he is. Holly Johnson closes Sunday night, and let me tell you, seeing him belt out Relax is like watching an old lion roar, defiant, alive, untouchable. And then there's Blue, the wild card, the 2000s boy band, all slick harmonies, ripping through All Rise and One Love like they're headlining their own arena tour. They're a hit, pulling in the younger crowd, the ones who were kids when these songs were new. And I'm thinking, okay, this feels right, this works. Holding it all together is Clive Jackson, the doctor from Doctor and the Medics. I think he said he was 62 years old, so I'm going to go with 62 years old. And he's a total force of nature. He's up there in his top hat and leather-coated garb, cracking jokes, leading the crowd in massive sing-alongs to his one massive hit, Spirit in the Sky. Let's go to the place that's the best. A line that feels like the Weeknd's mantra. He's the glue, the hype man, the heart of Rewind. And I'm laughing, I'm dancing. I'm swept up in this bubble where nothing exists except the music and the moment. There's the Pink Flamingo Club. There's Jenny Powell. There's Basil Brush. Yes, a puppet fox, bringing the camp to another level. There's a fun fair, a silent disco, an inflatable church where people are getting fake married in 80s wedding dresses. It's absurd, it's joyful. It's like the 80s threw up in the best possible way. I'm standing there singing Love Plus One with a stranger in a Wham t-shirt, and I'm thinking, this is it. This is the place that's the best. But then the bubble sort of wobbles. I'm watching the doctor, and he's got this energy, this spark, but he mentions his age, 62. And it's like a record scratch in my brain. 62. This guy's been doing Spirit in the Sky for over 40 years, since I was a kid taping his song off the radio, and he's still here, still giving it everything. But time marches on. He's still up there grinning, but there's this wistfulness in his voice, this awareness of time creeping up. And then he does these wonderful personal shout-outs, these dedications to people in the crowd who've lost someone to cancer or something else. And the field roars back with applause and love, with support, an arm round the bereaved. But it's heavy, you know. It's like we're all holding our breath, acknowledging the fragility of it all. Chesney Hawkes, he gets up there all smiles as usual, but then he pauses, gets real, talks about his best friend he lost recently, dedicates a song. And I'm standing there, drink in hand, feeling this lump in my throat. It's not just a performance anymore, it's a reminder that we're all in the departure lounge, and sadly some people's flights get called earlier than others. We just don't know when. And then, after the festival, I hear news about Midge, the guy who gave us Vienna and co-wrote Do They Know It's Christmas, who's been a cornerstone of the 80s for as long as I can remember. He's cancelled his September tour for medical reasons. He's 71, and suddenly I'm doing the maths, counting the years, wondering how many more times I'll get to see him on stage, hear that peerless voice, that range barely weathered by 40 years, and feel that connection to my past. It's like a crack in the foundation of my nostalgia, a reminder that these artists, these heroes, they're not immortal. They're human, just like the rest of us, and time's march is relentless. It's marching, always marching, and it's stealing our heroes one by one. I'm walking through the crowd and I'm looking at the faces, grey hair, wrinkles, people with walking sticks, people fanning themselves in the heat. Happy people, but people with complex lives, complex conditions, ailments, bum knees. And I'm realising we're all in this together, this dance with time. The core of this crowd, it's us, the 80s kids, now in our 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, clutching our youth like it's a vinyl record we can't stop spinning. We're here singing to fade to grey like it's 1980, but we're not fooling anyone. We're aging just like the bands, just like the Doctor at 62, Midge at 71, Holly Johnson still strutting but carrying the weight of the years. And it's bittersweet because this music, these moments, they're so precious, but they're fleeting like they're trying to hold on to a sunset. Here's where my head's at, and I'm going to lean into this because it's been gnawing at me all Monday and Tuesday. I see these bands year in, year out, Rewind South, Rewind North, Butlins, Let's Rock, 80s Calling, all these retro festivals. It's the same circuit and the same names. Go West, Heaven 17, to Pow, Jason Donovan, Holly Johnson. China Crisis, Chesney Hawks, and on and on. They're the backbone of this scene, the lifeblood of these festivals, and I love them. I cherish them, I really do. I'll scream along to China in Your Hand or Vienna every single time. But let's be real, it's a small pool. There's only so many 80s acts still out there, still touring, still able to pull a crowd. And would Duran Duran do it? Maybe if you're lucky, but the list isn't endless. Some bands have broken up, some have lost members, some just can't handle the grind of the road anymore. The retro circuit, it's a finite resource, and every year now, I'm holding my breath wondering who's going to drop off the bill the next time, who's going to retire, who's going to, Think about Ozzy Osbourne recently, that wonderful, beautiful final show, and then, it's all very sad. It's like we're cherishing these acts more because we know they're not forever. I'm watching The Doctor and I'm thinking, he won't admit it, but this guy's a legend. But he's 62. How many more rewinds? I'm watching Midure and I'm praying he's okay because losing him would be like losing a piece of my soul. I'm watching Holly Johnson and I'm marvelling at his energy, but I'm also counting the years since Frankie Goes to Hollywood ruled the charts. These bands, these treasures, they're fragile and time's not kind. And it's not just about the music, it's about what these songs mean, the memories they carry, and the way they tie us to who we were. And that's where Blue comes in. And I'm circling back to them because they were a revelation. They're not 80s, not even 90s. They're noughties. They were formed in 2000, barely 25 years old as a band, but they fit. They were excellent. They brought this slick boy band energy, all tight harmonies and choreography, and the crowd loved it. You had younger fans, maybe in their 20s, singing One Love like it was their anthem, and older fans in their 30s reliving having their poster on their wall. And I'm standing there in the middle of this field thinking, is this the answer? Is this how Rewind moves forward, how it keeps going as the 80s acts age out? Do we start pulling in more from the 90s, 2000s bands to keep the festival alive, to bring in, the millennials or the younger generation X? I'm imagining it now. I don't think you'd get the Spice Girls and certainly not Oasis, but Blur? Would Blur do it? Or Pulp? I can see Jarvis Cocker being up for it. We're not replacing, we're just adding to the roster. Even the early 2000s indie Franz Ferdinand maybe. Blue showed it's possible that you can mix decades and still keep the nostalgia flowing. But then I'm torn. Torn because Rewind's soul is so tied to the 80s, this bold, colourful, synth-heavy, diverse era that defined a generation. The 80s weren't just music, it was a cultural moment, a time of big hair, big dreams, and MTV ruling the world. If you start lobbing in too much Britpop or boy band pop, does that dilute it? Does Rewind become just another nostalgia fest? No cohesion, no heart. I'm thinking about this as I'm dancing to Heaven 17, and I'm looking at the crowd and I'm realising the audience is ageing too. We're the 80s kids, now with mortgages, now with bad knees, and kids of our own. I see people with walking sticks, people sitting on picnic blankets because standing for hours is too much. We're still here, dressed like we're auditioning for the Breakfast Club, singing like our lives depend on it, but Father Time is undefeated. And what about the younger crowd? There's some here, kids with their parents, 20-somethings who love the retro aesthetic, maybe discovered Sweet Dreams on TikTok or Take On Me in a meme. But how do we keep them coming? Maybe it's more acts like Blue, bands that hit the sweet spot for millennials. Rewind's got this campy theatrical energy, the inflatable church, so why not lean into that? More themed stages, maybe a roller disco, an 80s arcade with Pac-Man or Space Invaders. Keep the heart of the 80s, but make it fresh. Make it last. This festival is a lifeline. It's a place where I can be silly, where I can wear a mullet wig and not care, where I can sing Relax at the top of my lungs and feel alive. But it is also a mirror showing me how fast time moves. Every year I see these bands, Roachford, Tapau, Heaven 17, and I cherish them more because I know they're not guaranteed. The Doctor's 62, Midge is 71, Holly Johnson's still strutting but carrying decades on his shoulders, and us, the crowd, we're not getting younger either. I heard someone say this was their 12th rewind. And I'm like, 12 years. That's a lifeline of coming back to this field, chasing this feeling. And it's beautiful, but it's fragile. So maybe the sadness is part of the joy, you know. It's what makes these moments so precious, so worth screaming for, so worth dancing in a field with 1,000 strangers. I'm thinking about Blue again, how they're a bridge, a way to keep rewind alive as the 80s acts age out. But I'm also thinking about how we cherish what we have now, these bands, these songs, these heroes who are still here, still giving us everything. I'm thinking about the Doctor shouting, I'm going to go to the place that's the best. And I'm holding on to that because that's what Rewind is. It's the best place for one weekend where we can hold on to the music, the memories and the magic. I'm walking away from Rewind South 2025, my ears ringing, my heart full, my sunburn very red. I'm thinking about Mid-Year, praying he's okay, thinking about the Doctor, still rocking at 62, thinking about all these bands I see every year, the ones I love, the ones I'm scared to lose. I'm thinking about Blue, the 90s and the noughties, about how Rewind can evolve without losing its soul. I'm thinking about us, the crowd, getting older, but still there, still dancing, still singing. And I'm thinking, let's keep this going. Let's keep coming back, keep dressing up, keep screaming the words to Vienna and Temptation and All Rise, because as long as there's a stage, a crowd and a song, we'll find a way to the place that's the best. Thanks for listening.